been around Pirtek now for nearly 27 years. I started back in '91 in Nottingham. Started as an MST. Did that for about a year, enjoyed it, got on with it, enjoyed the job. Then became centre manager. Then I was hoping to run Nottingham and Derby. Then I wanted a bit of a change. I did that for about 4 years. And then I wanted a bit more in life, and I knew that Pirtek USA was opening. And so I had a chat with Alistair Wiggins and Russell Mundell, two of the old directors. And they put me in touch with Pirtek USA. So I went over to Florida for a week to do like a week-long interview. And then I was offered a position, when would that be, '98, with Pirtek USA, helping to train new franchisees, then go and spending up to 3 months with each new depot around the US. Did that for nearly 5 years. It was wonderful because we'd been to the US a few times, me and my wife, and what we did after that, we said, oh, we'd love to have a chance out there. And Pirtek USA is based in Melbourne in Florida, and we have an apartment on Cocoa Beach. And when I was down at the head office in Florida, I'd go to Orlando if there was nothing happening in the corporate office. And so my day would involve going to Disney World, checking some rides, checking hoses, then SeaWorld and maybe Universal Studios. And it was a terrible day. We loved it. But we got to see a lot of the proper US rather than the tourist route. And we'd go to the depots and we'd be part of the team. So I'd be out with the guys 24/7 if they had any after hours, doing sales calls. If they had any technical problems, I'd be whizzing from one job to another. And it was really, really good. We got to know some great people, and we've seen some great places, with Chicago being one of my favourite cities in the US. The size of the territories was unreal compared to the UK, because in Philadelphia we opened a depot there and we had a job in Pittsburgh, which is the next big city across the state, and it took us like 4.5 hours to drive there, and that's just one state. The concept of mobile hoses in the US was unknown, and so Pirtek took that, and they really did. They got some real good franchisees. Some of the older franchisees in the US now run a couple of the biggest depots probably in the world. Up in Detroit, he's got 3 depots up there, and in 1 month I did a job where it was like something like $280,000, and yeah, they had 13 MSTs involved in the job, 2 managers, 2 salesmen, helping to get this job done within 1 month for one of the big car factories. But the US concept was based on the UK one, and the reason I was over there is because I was bringing the UK knowledge and a little bit of enthusiasm. I would deal with things with a smile, and very rare do I not look at it. You know, we get one chance at life, so I try and make the most of it. And we have to work to get on in life, but for me, Pirtek is an enjoyable bit because I'm meeting people and I'm working with a good group of guys, and you know, they make life enjoyable each day. We do have a few moments where it's not enjoyable, but that's part of life. But you know, the thing I enjoy about it is the interaction with people. Pirtek gives you that opportunity to be talking to a lot of different people each day. Now, a customer calls Pirtek when they've got a problem and the world's descended upon them. So if we can be polite on the phone, and I try and make sure that all the staff answer the phone the same way, in that we're pleasant, we're polite, and we're caring about your problems. And if we can give them a bit of a smile and say, look, we'll try and be there within the hour and we'll get your machine up and running as quick as we can, Pirtek's not a bigger problem in their day. And so, you know, we try and do a good job for people. We try and offer a value for money service. We know that Pirtek is not the cheapest price in the market, but I consider us to be one of the best value for money services. You know, and the customers will come back to us. My wife, she wanted to come back to the UK, so I finished up the last contract that I was doing out there with Pirtek USA, and we came back in 2001, literally the weekend just before 9/11. I started then as the training manager for Pirtek UK with Andy Dickens, and that first Monday within Pirtek UK was 9/11. So we're watching that unfold in the news, and it was like, whoa. It was quite a surprise, but you know, as we're seeing in the news now, the world is not a wonderful place, and if you let it get on top of you, you can be as bad as everyone else. So I try and deal with life, you know, that life is for the living, let's get on and do it. Well, I did training with Andy for probably maybe 4 or 5 years, and Andy then decided he wanted a new course in life, so he left. And for me then, I wasn't enjoying the training like I was with Andy. So Russell had offered me the national training manager's role, but I said, no, the training's not the same for me, so I want to move on and do something different. So I then did the PIT system at the time, which was a virtual office, and I did the training for a couple of years going around the UK, training the UK depots on the PIT system. And when that project had been rolled out, I was ready for another change. So Pirtek UK said, well, we've got this little depot in Lincoln. It's a small little depot, it's had a few issues in the past. Do you fancy it? And we'll help you into there. So I came and had a look at it, found there was something I could play with, and that was back in 2006 when I took the depot over. And the first day I opened the business, there was me and my admin lady Cheryl, and that was it. So for the first 3 or 4 years, it was 7-day week, 24 hours a day, doing on-call, doing all the calls, doing sales, everything. But then I've built the team up over the last 8 years, and now I've got a very stable team that let me step back a little bit. So I'll go out and do the sales, help out in the depot if there's anything needs doing. But no, we have a good giggle. One of the things is when you start as an MST, you learn that the good side of the job is meeting people, the bad side of the job, which is sales. And if you're comfortable in yourself and you're confident, the sales is quite easy. And I'm kind of like a bad penny. Once you've met me, you'll not forget me. Now, whether it's for good things or bad things, that's just part of life. I'll never please everyone. But I will make an effort to be an impression on everyone. And within Pirtek, you get lots of different roles. And a lot of people come and go from within the Pirtek network. But if you can put some effort in and shine, you will be noticed. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons I got to USA, was that the Pirtek noticed me. In the US, customer service is king. There's no ifs and buts. And everything was sir, ma'am, very polite, very pleasant, with quite respectful attitudes towards service. And I brought that back with me. But the other thing I did is I learned some other training parts in the US, which I brought back to the UK, and they're still being used now by the UK training department in Birmingham, which is things like cheat sheets and how we go through learning the part numbers from the parts catalogues. And so, I still have staff who go down to Birmingham to be trained, but they come back with the same knowledge that I did when I came back in 2001. Lincoln's one of probably 2 or 3 depots in the UK which has very little industry. We have, you can go to Birmingham, you go Sheffield, Manchester, they have big industry. In Sheffield, one industrial estate will have probably as much as the whole of Lincolnshire. And so we have a very different market. We don't do the amount of jobs that other depots do in each month. So what we have to do is make an effort to give a good service so the customers are happy to spend their money with us. And so we have a lot of transport, farming. Infrastructure is another one of the big ones in Lincolnshire, but there's very little industry. And the industry that is here is very specialised. We have Siemens, which do the big turbines for the power stations, aircraft, but that's a very specialised business, and trying to get into there is something we're working on, and something we've been working on for probably 10 years. But we don't give up on it. It's one of the things we look at, but we have a lot of farmers, and transport and logistics is probably one of our biggest customer groups that we go with. Well, Lincoln's, again, it's off a spur. We have no motorways in the territory that we cover in north to middle Lincolnshire. We have a lot of A roads, and we have a lot of roads called fen roads, literally called fen roads. And these are B roads, and they just go everywhere. So we do a lot of miles each year with not much work in the middle of them, whereas some depots like Docklands, it's like 5 miles square. Well, I can probably go around there and meet 3 houses and 2 tractors. So it is a very rural location. We operate 3 vehicles. 2 full-time MSTs, and then we've got Lewis, who is in the depot as the assistant centre manager. He's also an MST. He goes out. We've got Pete, who's fully trained MST and the centre manager. I've got Cheryl, who does the accounts, and then there's me, who can do whether it's vans, trade counter, sales or deliveries. A lot of the Pirtek depots, and again I've had experience when I was doing the training, was all over the country, so I've seen the majority of the depots, if not all of them, in my time in Pirtek. And the general ethos is the same at all the depots, whether it's work-wise or the attitude. The one thing we do like to do is have a very good atmosphere. That makes a big difference for myself and for the staff. If we've got a pleasant atmosphere, there's a little bit of mickey taking going on during the day, then the staff are happier to stay. We go through a regime where we don't turn over staff. And so I get staff in place, the customers get to know them. The other thing is having things like your name on the t-shirt. Customers know who you are straight away. And it makes a big difference when you're trying to get relationships with the customers. And so we're always trying to be polite and pleasant, which is part of the American in me. we try and be polite and pleasant and give honest answers. People always don't want to hear that you're going to be 2 or 3 hours to get into a job, but I much prefer to be honest with them and give them an option of getting the work done elsewhere, but at least they know where to stand. If I can point them in the direction of someone else who can do a job either better or a lot cheaper than what I can do, then I'll be honest with them and say this is another option for you. But between a brick and a hard place, obviously staff want more money, but the business has got to make money, and so you're always trying to balance between what money the business makes and what money you can then spend on running the business. But it's not always money is the key issue, I find, with staff. If they've got a pleasant environment, they've got a half decent work vehicle which has got air conditioning in the hot weather, and they can come and have a chat with you whenever they need to moments, I think that makes a big difference to the staff, where they feel wanted and part of a team. New members of staff, when you send them down, I don't send them down like some depots will employ a guy on a Friday and he'll be on the training on Monday. I don't think that's the correct way to do it. I like to have them in the depot for anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 months. Lewis, when he first started, he was 18 months before he went down on a training course, but I didn't feel he was ready to go on a training course. But what it does when they go on a training course is they get to see Pirtek as a big picture, not just their depot and their job. And they get to chat to other guys from other parts of the country. They get to hear the good and the bad about the job, but at least they appreciate then that the system is bigger than just their depot or the UK. It gets worldwide, and I try and use myself as a bit of model for people that you can start on the van. If you put the effort in and motivate yourself, you can literally travel around the world. And to have a job title of an international corporate trainer, yeah, it's nice. I don't ask the staff to do anything that I wouldn't do. If the toilet needs cleaning, everyone else is busy. I'll get some gloves on and I'll get busy. But on the flip side, I don't expect to be the first one to go and do everything. If the staff are around and there's a customer comes in, I want them taken care of real quick. If everyone's busy, then I'll take care of it real quick. Enthusiasm is probably the biggest one. A lot of obstacles can be overcome with enthusiasm. You don't need to be a businessman, because the way the Pirtek model operates, it's quite a simple-ish model. You have a franchise agreement. If you stay within the franchise agreement, it's fine. Pirtek UK are very good at helping you. They'll give you support if you ask for it. But enthusiasm, if you can keep your team motivated and enthusiastic about the business, they will do a lot of the work for you. And I think Richard Branson says, when you're running a business, get a good manager in who can do the job better than you and let him do the job. And I'm very much an advocate of that. Delegation is probably one of my favourite things now in my middle age.